this is often the fact that is neglected by a lot of designers. You also need to take care of the regulations around using wireless connectivity, right? So you have for every wireless device that transmits or receives, doesn't matter, anywhere in the world, you need to be compliant to the rules and regulations of the local governments. And this is very important to understand, and there are also additional certifications or whatever you call listings and so on. This needs to be taken care so that you are legally allowed to operate your device in the field. So this is one of the major factors that as engineers we tend to see the technology, but this is also a really important factor, which is again coming back to my point of from prototyping to scaling. This might be a really big thorn in the way, because suddenly you realize you have to spend a 6-digit amount just to get your devices certified.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of our podcast Coffee and Tech, the podcast powered by coffee and our passion for electronics. My name is Antonio Becerra, and today with us we have Adithya Madanahalli, Senior IoT Engineer from Würth. Welcome, Adi.
Thank you, Antonio.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, actually.
That's great to hear. Today we're going to explore the role. We're going to explore the topic of IoT and electronics design, and we have a great guest for this topic. I wanted to start for our audience. I wanted to start asking you about your expertise, your story a little bit. And can you share a bit the journey that you had in the field of IoT and electronics design? Like what led you to this role that you're developing now?
I think the passion towards IoT started with my passion towards wireless connectivity, which made me actually choose wireless connectivity as one of my specializations during my studies already, during my master's, after which I continued working in this domain for almost 10-12 years now in the field of wireless connectivity and sensors. And if you look at the most important application, I would say nowadays for wireless connectivity and sensors, it's the Internet of Things.
Yes.
So that's how I would say my role currently as IoT engineer with Würth Elektronik ISOs came into being because of all these past experiences with wireless connectivity and sensors, and been working with the company now for almost 7 years.
Ah, okay, not bad. Do you have any project that you remember with special love, some project that you might have developed that you really liked in the past?
I had a lot of experience working with wireless connectivity for mining industry, which is really interesting because it's a completely different experience, and it's a completely different environment where you have hazardous gases, and it's really you need your solution to be robust and make sure that you have these design considerations that are completely out of the world, I should say, because you are not on the surface but underground, which really makes these systems design very challenging. So these are, I would say, one of the projects was to provide Wi-Fi connectivity underground, which really, I still remember this, testing this in one of these mining shafts underground. It was very, very interesting.
Wow, so you need to get the network all the way to the working side of the miners.
Correct.
So that there is some wireless manner of transferring, like gas quality, or?
So this was actually right. You're also monitoring this, but you're also having a lot of remote control devices which need to be controlled via a central unit, which means Wi-Fi connectivity to a specific location. But then you have at the back end the wired connection to the control center, I would say.
Very interesting. Never thought of that, but of course, right? It's no longer just miners with a shaft. There's a lot of machinery around that needs to be controlled.
There's a lot of automation that's going on in that field.
Yeah. There are many challenges right, when developing IoT. And I wanted actually to ask you, in your experience as an IoT engineer, what are the most pressing challenges when it comes to designing with IoT nowadays?
Nowadays, with the Internet of Things has been existing for a decade almost now. I mean, you have seen the hype behind this whole Internet of Things solutions. I think the hype phase is already past, and now we are in the stage where we are trying to implement stuff. And
Yes.
the biggest challenge that I see currently is the transition from prototyping to scaling up to become a productive solution. So this is where a lot of our customers and in general the industry is having the difficulty. So it's usually been that, okay, Internet of Things, connectivity and so on, it's been nice to have features till now, but now with the advent of digitalization, you hear digitalization everywhere, and with this it has given kind of a impetus to implement these solutions, which were kind of a few developers trying out something new, presenting it to the management.
Yes.
Now it is from these prototyping stages to actually scaling up and really creating a solution with thousands of devices in the field. So this is something which is really challenging, and this is one of the challenges for the IoT industry today. The second and probably the most important thing that comes up to my mind is data security and privacy, which is true. It's a challenge for every field, I would say, also for the normal IT stuff, but for Internet of Things it's more challenging because you are dealing with devices with limited power, limited processing power, sometimes battery operated and so on, and low cost and so on. So with these limitations, you still have to ensure that the data that these devices generate are securely collected, and the whole security needs to be taken care from sensor to the cloud. So this is where I see a lot of innovation that is necessary, and that needs to be, it's already a lot of solutions coming up, but this is a vast field, and this is where something is a major challenge for IoT today.
That makes sense. I think security is such a challenge in so many fields. You mentioned, and I agree with you, that indeed IoT is nothing new, right? IoT, the Internet of Things, has been around already for quite some time.
Yep.
But it's gone from something that maybe some engineers think, oh, why don't we put why don't we create some connection to a wireless network so that we can transmit information as a gimmick, to now way more implemented, and we can find it in so many things, right?
Yeah.
We also enabled by the fact that we have internet anywhere. We have the ability of being connected to any wireless or maybe via satellite to internet anywhere. Maybe 10 years ago, there were already smartphones, but not that developed as now. We all have a huge computer now in our pockets, right? So internet is widely available now, and it's been way more implemented in many products, which brings the question: when you are prototyping, when you are generating the prototype of your product, you are faced with there is a sea of options, right?
Correct.
You need wireless communication, for example, but now what do I choose?
Yep.
From all the portfolio of all the companies that offer this, how do you navigate this thing?
This is really interesting because it's often quite easy to get carried away by the popularity of technologies, right? I mean, you hear on your phone you have Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and cellular connectivity, and the real question is there are a few factors that actually determine what wireless connectivity is suitable for a specific application. I would say the first one is the range. I mean, you have to determine whether it's 25 meters to 100 meters to 800 meters to a few kilometers or whatever. Typically, IoT devices do not need high throughput. It's usually a couple of bytes of sensor data that is transmitted. So that also plays an important role. Further, this is often the fact that is neglected by a lot of designers. You also need to take care of the regulations around using wireless connectivity, right? So you have for every wireless device that transmits or receives, doesn't matter, anywhere in the world, you need to be compliant to the rules and regulations of the local governments, right? And this is very important to understand, and there are also additional certifications or whatever you call listings and so on. This needs to be taken care so that you are legally allowed to operate your device in the field. So this is one of the major factors that as engineers we tend to see the technology, but this is also a really important factor, which is again coming back to my point of from prototyping to scaling. This might be a really big thorn in the way, because suddenly you realize you have to spend a 6-digit amount just to get your devices certified.
Yeah, certification is such a big topic.
This is a very important design consideration, I would say. And finally, the power consumption is, as I told you, a lot of devices these days are battery operated, which means you need to really make sure that the wireless connectivity technology that you choose is suitable for the power budget that you plan for. So these are few things I would say that are really relevant.
Very important. That's a very good point. I'm very interested in the topic because I'm going to talk a little bit now about the solution that CELUS has.
Sure.
So let me put here a bit, introduce a bit of info here. So we have the CELUS design platform that aims at making the life of engineers much easier, kind of, like effectively giving them a superpower. Because when you are faced with the question, I need, for example, some Wi-Fi, I need wireless capabilities in my hardware architecture, right? At the very beginning, when you are gathering what is it that you want, usually you have to come up with all these functionalities, you need to come up with all the requirements, how to connect things, in which environment should it work. As you said, which certifications do I need, the range of my communications, my power budget, which is very important, and you're still left with tons of solutions. You have to distinguish, okay, what do I implement, right? I would to say that engineers don't actually implement in general the best fitting solution, but the one that is readily available and easy to implement, right? There might be another one that is wonderful, but if you cannot understand the data sheet, if you cannot understand how to implement it, you're going to go for the one that you understand. And essentially what we do is, when the engineer in our platform captures their hardware architecture and all the requirements and hits resolved, we give them many solutions in a way that is easy to understand for a human being. We're surfacing the information in the data sheets so that engineers can then make an educated decision in which component to implement, because it even comes with how to implement it, right? It comes with schematic, it comes with everything. And that means that as an engineer, it is way easier, it is way more powerful. You are going to be able to you are in control, because you have information, and then information is control. So I wanted to ask you from your perspective, because we have seen also in other occasions, I've shown you the platform, and what do you think that sets this platform, the CELUS design platform, apart? Like what is in the realm of IoT and electronic design, what is the boost that it can provide?
With my experience, from what I understand, is it's always nice to have the choice of different components to choose for a design. But then when you're making decisions, you go for some critical design parameter, right?
Yes.
And it is really good to make sure to have an overview, and then to go for this critical design parameter and say, okay, this is exactly what I want. And and I think it saves a lot of time with your platform, I would say, to do this decision, which otherwise would take going through the data sheets trying to find out, because every manufacturer has their own way of presenting
the data, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So this is, I would say, one of the time savers for any developer.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We are including. We have an agreement, a partnership with Würth Elektronik, and actually our users will find when working with our platform, will find the sensors from Würth, the wireless modules. I was actually working on a project that we generated on the platform with the Calypso module, tinkering around with it. And I'm very happy, and I am sure that our users will also love and appreciate the quality of Würth's solutions, which I will ask you in a while. But I wanted to do a bit of fast forward, like looking at the future. What trends do you foresee that will happen in this intersection between IoT, electronic design? Do you see some role of AI in all this? Because AI now is everywhere.
Correct. Yeah.
How do you think professionals should prepare for what's coming?
Yes, I mean, artificial intelligence has been now the buzzword for the last, I don't know, 6 months or even more. We are learning about a lot of the capabilities that, and this is becoming more popular because it's now on your smartphone. That's the reason behind the hype I see. But I would say in the embedded domain, this has been there for a while now, which it was referred to as, and it still is, as machine learning. And machine learning on the edge is a very critical, I would say, technology that has enabled a lot of battery power devices. And also a lot of Internet of Things devices, because from my point of view, a lot of intelligence is now moving from the cloud down towards the edge. I mean, it's really fascinating to know that you can do a lot of filtering, a lot of decision making already on a small microcontroller with, I don't know, ARM Cortex M0 core, which is such a limited capabilities that you can actually save a lot of data bandwidth that you don't have to transmit. This again contributes towards security, privacy, and so on, right?
Yes.
So you can make a lot of decisions already on the edge on a sensor node. So this is already been happening for a while now, and it's already implemented in a lot of devices. And I see this as a very critical technology enabler for scaling up Internet of Things applications.
That's a very good point. I was actually thinking about when you're talking wireless communication, for example. I am a big fan of working with modules because I believe makes the implementation much easier, right? You need to take care of a couple of things like the materials, the copper that you're putting around it, not to mess with antenna and communications. But in the end, if you are given as an engineer a set of suitable solutions for you that then can merge, can really fit in your project, and that doesn't only mean on the I will say it. I promise that I will say it. It's stuck here, but I will the words, but I will say them. Not only from the perspective of choosing which component, right? But also you need to take into account which materials are you using, the environment that you're working in, all these things. So being able to having a tool that will tell you, look, I think this is what you need, and this is the information. You can make the decision, and now run with it, and maybe then you can even, who knows, maybe in the future. I know that there are some tools that are working on AI for routing.
Correct. Yeah, this is something. I mean, this is where I see the potential of artificial intelligence. Wherever there is a really a pattern and there is some optimization potential, where I think machines are getting really good at doing it.
Yes. It's. I find it stunning. I really find it great how this is working and its development. I would really love to see. Like, I don't know. I haven't ever met an engineer that would proudly say that they use the auto router, but if that auto router is AI powered, maybe. But if we give a couple steps back, I think being able to, because the data transmission, everything is getting more and more harder and harder, and sizes are shrinking ever more,
yes.
right? So being able to have some assistant that will tell you, you know what, for this constraints that you have, this is what you need. I think that's a great advantage. I also wanted to ask you, in this rapidly changing world, what are the unique advantages of the products from Würth Elektronik in the field of IoT for, in particularly when addressing the challenges that have to do with electronic design?
The most important thing I would say, as you said, the market is rapidly evolving, which means time to market is very critical, right?
Yes,
so whenever we talk about designing in wireless connectivity, it is really a complex set of design decisions that you need to make. With our products, we simplify this whole process by providing a wide range of pre-certified, pre-programmed radio modules in different wireless connectivity technologies, Bluetooth, cellular, Wi-Fi, and so on, right? So with this, you save the whole effort of completely understanding the wireless technology. All you need to understand is your own application, and we provide for the developers, it's a black box that provides you the complete functionality according to all the standards that we provide, and also you don't have to worry about a lot about certification because the modules are pre-certified.
That's very important.
And we also provide the software development kits and all the PC tools and so on, all the necessary tools that you need, hardware libraries, for example, that you need to create a complete IoT solution. Furthermore, when we talk about IoT, the most complicated or the most complex part typically is connectivity to cloud. So you have a lot of cloud platforms and a lot of preferred cloud platforms. So we don't, our customers usually have their own preferred cloud platform. So what we do is we do not force our customers to send the data to a specific platform. We rather provide plug and play connectivity to all the popularly used platforms. And we ensure that this connectivity is secure by design. So whenever somebody designs in one of our radio modules, they can be sure that they have plug and play compatibility with, for example, Microsoft Azure, AWS, and so on. So all the major cloud providers. This is also a very important thing to keep in mind, that cybersecurity again needs to be considered here when connecting to cloud, and this is where we make sure that we take that extra step to analyze and make sure that as long as the radio module is designed into the application with our recommended design considerations, the data remains safe and secure from the device to the cloud.
That is very important. I keep seeing more and more boards where security is a very big feature.
Correct.
But it's very important, because in the end, one thing is you're playing around, creating something for your own for your own enjoyment in your spare time. Another very different thing is gathering data that might be sensitive, or it's there is some type of IP there, and it has to be transferred, and
correct, yeah,
needs to be. I remember it needs to be, the communication needs to be safe, needs to be secure. I remember at a company I worked a lot of years ago, we weren't allowed even to use Bluetooth keyboards.
Okay, yeah, that's
right, because if at some point someone
correct
could connect to that, could see into that Bluetooth connection, they could see what you're typing, and I mean, maybe it's nothing important, maybe it's something super important,
yes,
right?
Yes, sure.
So it's super. It's something to take into account always when developing. We are working on now some projects for our platform, for our users to develop, to learn how to use the platform. And as I have mentioned before, we are implementing Würth solutions in our library of solutions, and this means we are not only implementing, the component with the NPN, but the beauty of our technology, we have behind something called Kubos, where we talked about this in the past, in another sessions before the podcast. And that is essentially a digital data sheet, which is much better than a normal data sheet, because as a human being, I don't need to go through the many pages that that it might have. And I am getting all the specifications, I'm getting the schematic with all the bells and whistles. I'm getting, right now, I remember because we've been working with that, the module of the Calypso. So when I just have to, in my hardware architecture, in the CELUS Design Studio, I drag and drop the wireless functionality, I hit resolve, and then the platform starts searching for solutions, and then I get a list of suitable solutions. And when I click, for example, the Calypso, what I see is not only all the specifications and description of what it can do, but I can also see the schematic. I can see the BOM of that little module, meaning that I'm going to see the capacitors that it needs in the supply line, the impedance matching network if I need to if I want to have an external antenna. I don't know, very nitty-gritty details like the reset pin being pulled up with some delay. So I get not only to see, okay, this is the radio solutions that I want to use from Würth, but I also get the whole package so that I can then implement it in the rest of the project. And like that, we have also with the partnership that we have, what that has enabled us to offer many solutions regarding sensors. So we have pressure sensors, temperature, humidity sensor. If I remember properly, not too long ago, a new sensor, a humidity sensor was released, right?
Correct. The one with higher accuracy and with newer technology, yes.
Exactly. We have also we have created Kubos for the accelerometers, for the, I will say the word IMUs.
IMU sensors.
Exactly, sensors. We have more radio modules than the Calypso, the Proteus, if I'm not wrong. So that essentially, we are working on now to exemplify how to work and to exemplify some of the advantages. We're working on an IoT development board. For a portion of our users to have fun developing and learning. And the sensors that we're putting on that board are from Würth. And that means with that, one can see the hardware architecture where you have, I don't know, the wireless module, you have a microcontroller, you have some connectivity, you have power management, you have USB. And then you have sensors. And you put, I want to measure from this temperature to this other temperature. This board should work in a normal room, so up to, I don't know, 80 degrees or from 0 to 80. One hits resolve once everything is connected and I have captured everything I needed. And when I enter to see which solutions are compatible, for example, as a temperature sensor, I can select the temperature sensor from Würth. If I have defined the interface as I2C, I'm going to get two options because it can have two addresses. If I have selected SPI, I get the same but with the SPI configuration. So essentially what that means is that for users developing with IoT products with Würth's component is much easier. You get all the advantages that you have mentioned. You're going to get certification, all the effort that you put into making sure that all those devices are secure and provide the maximum quality for your customers. So everyone wanted to develop with Würth products, they can come register on the CELUS design platform and develop in them, being shortening the time to market, which is a key factor.
I mean, I really like the way you spoke about all the critical things that are necessary when you design in an RF circuit. You need to make sure about the impedance matching if you're using an external antenna. If not, if you're using a built-in antenna, how do you use what kind of capacitors and so on. The power supply is also very critical, and the whole as a system, when you take a systems perspective, it's really very good platform actually to get an overview of the entire system instead of looking at the components individually. Yeah.
Indeed, that's what we believe we are very strong in. Like that's a very big value that we can provide to our users. And partnering with Würth means that we can also offer very good quality components and solutions. I wanted also to describe, we've spoken about security. So with the increasing complexity that we have in IoT systems, how does Würth Elektronik ensure the security and reliability of the IoT solutions? Like, how does this is a two parts question.
Okay.
How does Würth Elektronik ensure the security and reliability, and how does this impact the design decisions from the side of your customers?
Okay. So I mean, let's tackle the reliability point of view
Yes.
first. So from reliability point of view, I would say we are one of the manufacturers. We can ensure every module that we deliver the customer is 100% tested, which means what 100% testing means for us is we ensure all the critical parameters of the module. I mean, we do this in-house. We program the module with the intelligence, with the firmware in-house, and make sure that the critical parameters like current consumption, RF characteristics like receive sensitivity, transmit power, and so on, these are within the permissible range for every module that we deliver, which means that the customer can be sure that the goods that they get are up to the quality that they expect from us, right? So this is one of the things. I know we also make sure that we take care of really high standard and quality in the firmware and so on. We keep regular updates. This is also very important with respect to security, because if you want to be up to the let's say up to date with the current security stuff, you also need to make sure that your firmware or the software is up to date.
Yes,
this is what you see on your phones every time every month maybe you get a security update, which means that at some point somewhere in the world somebody has detected a vulnerability for which the manufacturer provides a fix so that this vulnerability no longer affects the security of the system, which is also a really important factor that we take care to ensure all the vulnerabilities that we get reported are also fixed and timely available for the customers. This is with respect to the reliability part. Coming to the security part of data security and so on, we ensure that we also consider the design of the entire system into our module design. It's not just, we don't focus just on the module itself, but on the whole IoT system, IoT application as a system, and make sure that we do this whole analysis of what can go wrong. This is the typical security analysis, the risk analysis that you do, right?
Yes.
And then we also implement all the best practices, for example, secure boot, to ensure that the module doesn't boot up with malware. We have secure storage to make sure all the secret information such as passwords, keys, and so on are stored in a secure location. Additional features such as encryptions, which are conform to the standards in the industry, are also implemented, and we actively push our customers with application notes and reference designs and codes and so on to make sure that these best practices also trickle down into the end application. So,
very important.
So this is something that we need to keep in mind. This is important because currently this is more of best practices, but
yes.
in the very near future it's going to be mandatory.
Yes, it's no longer going to be a luxury, it's a must. Very good points. I wanted to ask you also, because lately it's been, maybe it's been a couple of months ago already, but there's been a lot of conversation regarding regulations. The EU is very famous. It has a taste for regulations,
yes.
Right? There's been not too long ago regulation regarding AI being pushed. So how does Würth also take the regulations of the industry into the component development?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you need to keep in mind that of late there are a lot of cheap devices that are available in the market, and governments all over the world, not just the European Union, have recognized that it is not required for hackers and so on to invest a lot of money. A cheap small $5 thermostat can actually ruin the entire huge company network. This has happened a couple of times. So they are coming up with a lot of new regulations, which are very, very imminent. So it's not going to take more than like a couple of years, by which you have to say every device that comes to the market needs to comply with these regulations. And these regulations basically comprises of all the best practices that I spoke about earlier. So how to make sure that you don't have default passwords, how to make sure that you have certain standard encryptions that you use and so on. And as electronic component manufacturers, we are already making sure that we make our designs in such a way that we are already compliant with all these things that are scheduled to come up in the near future. So we make sure that we take care of this so that our customers don't have to worry about these things. So as long as they are going to design in the radio modules from us, they can be sure that they are going to have all the possible baseline requirements met, to make sure that, of course, the end device needs to do more than just to do these basic requirements, but the baseline requirements are already met for their end device.
That's very important to ensure that your components are compliant with the regulations that are coming, so that your customers are compliant. Since
Correct.
Those are the ones that need to be compliant when producing the final boards. I wanted to ask you before finishing this episode. I also wanted to ask you, so for those engineers or students looking to enter the field of IoT, or working in electronic, being interested, what would be your advice for them?
I mean, I think it's really interesting times for anybody new who wants to enter into the field of Internet of Things. And I think from keeping in view of a young engineer who is now making his way into the industry, it's no longer really hard and strict about whether it's software or hardware. There is the line that is becoming thinner and thinner. So it's more of an embedded systems development. And there is also a lot of integration between high-level software. So you see, Internet of Things is a very huge domain. So you start with hardware design, firmware, and so on, and you go up to cloud services. So it's a huge domain.
It's a huge domain,
which means a lot of opportunity. And of course, I have to also see that. I mean, there is a lot of opportunities in the electronics industry, I would say. And as enablers of innovation at Würth Elektronik, we also are always keen on supporting innovative projects and so on. We work with a lot of startups to ensure that they can get their project up and running. Support them with a lot of knowledge. For example, in terms of certification, EMC, IoT, and so on. So these are a lot of things that we also make sure that we kind of support innovation to make sure these innovative products come to the market quickly. So this is something that's really interesting that is happening in the market today.
Very good. Then, Adi, I think with this we came to a natural end of this episode. It's been great having you here. So thanks again for coming. And to everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode about IoT, and we'll see you in the next session. Bye-bye.
Bye.